Welcome to the blueprint for your liberation. You're watching Bookmint. Most Americans spend 40 years trapped in a vicious cycle of earning, spending, and worrying, only to retire with nothing but regret. Today, that cycle ends. This isn't just about saving pennies. It is about building a fortress of wealth so robust that you never have to trade your time for money again. Here on Bookmint, you are about to learn the exact steps to fire your boss, delete your debt, and reclaim your life. The path to freedom is simple, but it requires courage. Let's begin.
Chapter 1. Kill the Consumer Mindset. The world you live in is not designed for your success. It is designed for your extraction. Look around you. Every billboard, every Instagram ad, every notification on your phone has one singular purpose: to separate you from your money. We live in an economic system that thrives on your lack of impulse control. The entire machinery of modern capitalism, from the credit card companies to the car dealerships, is betting on your failure. They are betting that you will choose looking rich over actually being rich. And for most Americans, that bet pays off. This is the first and most critical step in your financial transformation. Before we talk about stocks, real estate, or tax loopholes, we have to fix the software running in your brain. You are currently programmed to consume. You work hard, you get paid, and you immediately look for a place to put that money. A new car, a bigger TV, a dinner you can't afford to impress people who aren't paying attention. This chapter is your wake-up call. If you cannot kill the consumer mindset, no amount of income will ever save you. You could win the lottery tomorrow, and without this shift, you would be broke again in 3 years. It's not about income, it's about discipline. The trap of instant gratification. Let's talk about the trap. It's subtle, and it feels good at first. The trap is the dopamine hit you get when you click Buy Now. It is the feeling of validation when you drive a car that costs more than your annual salary. In the USA, we have normalized financial insanity. We call it retail therapy, but let's call it what it really is: self-sabotage. The average American car payment is now hovering around $700 a month. That is $700 of your future freedom traded away for a piece of metal that loses value every single day. Why do we do this? Because we are addicted to the now. We want the lifestyle now. We want the status now. The financial industry knows this. That is why Buy Now, Pay Later exists. That is why credit card offers flood your mailbox. They are selling you a lie. They tell you you deserve it. They tell you that monthly payments are normal. They tell you that debt is just a tool to get what you want. That's the key. They want you to focus on the monthly payment, not the total cost. If you can afford the monthly payment, you think you can afford the item. You can't. If you have to finance a pair of shoes or a vacation, you are not a customer, you are a victim. You are buying liabilities that rust, rot, and depreciate, and you are paying interest for the privilege. You are voluntarily walking into a prison cell and locking the door. You are trading your life energy, the hours you spent working, for things that will end up in a landfill. Stop borrowing for validation. Stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. In case you haven't looked at the statistics lately, the Joneses are broke. They are drowning in credit card debt and have zero assets. Why would you want to copy their roadmap? The producer versus consumer shift. Here's the solution. You must undergo a radical identity shift. Right now, you view the world through the eyes of a consumer. When you see a new iPhone release, a consumer thinks, how can I get that? Can I trade in my old one? Can I finance it? A producer looks at the same event and thinks, how does this affect Apple's stock price? Is this a good time to buy more shares? How can I profit from the millions of people who are about to queue up to buy this device? This is the divide between the 1% and the 99%. Wealthy people consume value. Poor people consume products. You need to stop being the person who writes the checks and start being the person who receives them. When you go to Starbucks, don't just be the customer buying the $7 latte. Be the shareholder who owns a piece of the company that sells the latte. You have a choice. Every time a dollar lands in your hand, you stand in a fork in the road. Path A, you can send that dollar away to a corporation, never to see it again. That is consumption. Path B, you can employ that dollar. You can send it out into the world to work for you, to earn interest, dividends, and appreciation, and to bring back more dollars. That is production. When you shift to a producer mindset, spending money becomes painful because you realize, I'm not just spending $100, I'm killing the $1,000 that $100 could have grown into over the next 20 years. You start to view your money as your employees. Your goal is to acquire as many employees as possible and make them work harder than you do. You don't need a high IQ to do this. You don't need to be a Wall Street genius. You don't need their permission. You just need to decide that you are done being a battery for the economy. You are done fueling everyone else's dreams while yours wither on the vine. Defining your freedom number. So what are we building towards? Most people say, I want to be rich. That is a wish, not a plan. Rich is vague. The brain cannot hit a target it cannot see. To kill the consumer mindset, you need a goal so concrete, so specific, that it makes saying no to impulse purchases easy. We need to calculate your freedom number. This is the exact dollar amount you need invested to never work another day in your life. In the financial independence community, this is based on the 4% rule. The math suggests that if you have 25 times your annual expenses invested in a diversified portfolio, you can withdraw 4% per year forever without running out of money. Here is the exercise. I want you to do this today. Calculate exactly how much you spend in a year to survive and be comfortable. Let's say, for example, you need $60,000 a year to cover your housing, food, insurance, and basic fund. Multiply that number by 25. $60,000 times 25 is $1.5 million. That is your freedom number. $1.5 million. Now, suddenly, the game changes. You aren't just saving money. You are chipping away at a specific block of stone. Every $100 you invest isn't just savings. It is a distinct step closer to the finish line. When you know your number, the consumer mindset begins to die. You walk past the sale at the mall, and instead of thinking, I'm saving $50 on these jeans, you think, that $50 is a piece of my freedom. If I invest it, it gets me closer to my $1.5 million. That's the key. Clarity creates discipline. Without a number, you are drifting. With a number, you are a guided missile. This number may seem large. It may seem impossible right now, but it's not about income, it's about discipline. Whether you make $40,000 or $400,000, the math is the same. The gap between your income and your expenses is your wealth. If you spend everything you make, your freedom number stays infinitely far away. You have a choice. You can keep pretending. You can keep playing the part of the successful American consumer, leasing cars you don't own and swiping cards you can't pay off. You can keep working until you're 70, praying that Social Security still exists. Or you can kill the consumer. You can embrace the producer. You can set your sights on your freedom number and ruthlessly cut out anything that doesn't get you there. You don't need a lucky break. You don't need their permission. You just need to stop buying things and start buying your freedom. But to get there, we have to know exactly where you stand right now. We cannot build a skyscraper on a swamp. We need to look at the ugly truth of your bank account. In the next chapter, we are going to perform a brutal audit of your financial life. We are going to find the leaks, expose the rot, and lay the foundation for your wealth. It's time to face your financial reality.
Chapter 2.
Face your financial reality. Most people would rather walk across hot coals than look at their bank account balance on a Monday morning. There is a specific kind of anxiety that comes with financial ignorance. It is that low-level hum of stress in the back of your mind when you swipe your card, silently praying it gets approved. It is the pile of unopened mail on the kitchen counter that you pretend you don't see. It is the ostrich effect, burying your head in the sand and hoping the problem goes away. But let me be clear, financial problems never die of natural causes. They grow, they fester, they compound. If you want to build wealth, you have to stop living in a fantasy world. You have to turn on the lights. You cannot use a map to get to your destination if you don't know where you are standing right now. This chapter is about finding your coordinates. It is about stripping away the excuses, the estimates, and the "I think I'm doing okay" mentality. We are going to look at the cold, hard numbers. This process might be painful. It might be embarrassing, but it is the only way out. Truth is power. The net worth audit. The first step is the net worth audit. This is your financial scorecard. It doesn't measure your worth as a human being, but it absolutely measures your efficiency as a money manager. Here is the formula. Assets minus liabilities equals net worth. I want you to take a piece of paper or open a spreadsheet right now. On the left side, list your assets. Be ruthless. An asset is cash or something that can be sold for cash today. Checking accounts, savings accounts, investment accounts, 401k, IRA, brokerage. Real estate equity, what the house is worth minus what you owe. Kelley Blue Book value of your car. Be realistic, not optimistic. Do not list your clothes. Do not list your furniture. Do not list your sentimental collections. Unless you can sell it tomorrow to pay a bill, it is not a financial asset. On the right side, list your liabilities. This is everything you owe. Credit card balances, student loans, car loans, personal loans, mortgage balance, medical debt. Now do the math. Assets minus liabilities equals net worth. For many of you, this number will be negative. You might see a huge red number staring back at you. Negative $25,000. Negative $50,000. If that number is negative, do not panic. Panic is for amateurs. You are a strategist now. Seeing that negative number is actually a victory, because you finally know the size of the monster you are fighting. You can't kill a monster you can't see. You have a choice. You can look at that number and let it defeat you, or you can look at it and get angry. Use that anger. That negative number is the result of your past behavior. It is the ghost of every bad decision, every impulse buy, and every moment of laziness. Own it. That's the key. Once you own it, you can change it. Identifying the leaks. Now that we have the big picture, we need to zoom in on the bleeding. You're likely losing hundreds of dollars a month and you don't even feel it. We are going to perform a forensic audit of your last 3 months of bank statements. Log into your bank, download the PDFs, and print them out. Yes, print them. There is a psychological power in physically holding the evidence of your spending. Grab a red pen. I want you to circle every single transaction that was not essential for your survival. The $15 streaming service you haven't watched in 6 months. The $7 coffee you bought because you were too lazy to brew it at home. The free trial you forgot to cancel. The Uber Eats order that cost $40 because you didn't want to cook. In the USA, we suffer from death by 1,000 cuts. No one goes broke because they bought one expensive item. They go broke because they bought 1,000 tiny things that added up to a fortune. Look at your subscriptions.
The average American spends over $200 a month on subscriptions, and most don't even know what they are paying for. Gym memberships you don't use, magazine apps you don't read, music services, cloud storage. It is a steady drip, 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 draining your wealth. It's not about income, it's about discipline. You might look at that $12 subscription and think, it's only $12. But if you invest that $12 a month into the S&P 500 for 30 years, it grows to over $25,000. You aren't spending $12, you are setting fire to $25,000 of your future wealth. Cancel them. Be ruthless. You don't need their permission. You don't need to be loyal to these companies. If you're not using it every single week, cut it. If you miss it, you can always sign up again later. But right now, you are in wartime mode. You need every bullet, every dollar in your chamber. The credit report cleanup. Finally, we have to talk about your reputation. In the United States financial system, you are a number. That number is your FICO score. You might hate the credit system. You might think it's unfair, but ignoring it is financial suicide. Your credit score determines your car insurance rates, your ability to rent an apartment, your mortgage rate, and in some cases, even whether you get hired for a job. A bad credit score is a poor tax. It makes everything in your life more expensive. If you have a 580 credit score, you will pay tens of thousands of dollars more in interest over your lifetime than someone with a 780 score. That is money that should be in your retirement account, not in the bank's profit margin. Go to annualcreditreport.com. This is the official site authorized by the federal government. It is free. Pull your reports from Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. You are looking for errors. And trust me, errors are common. A study by the FTC found that 1 in 5 people have an error on at least one of their credit reports. Look for accounts that aren't yours. Look for late payments that were actually paid on time. Look for old debts that should have dropped off. Most negative marks fall off after 7 years. If you find an error, dispute it immediately. You can do this online through the Bureau's website. By law, they have 30 days to verify the debt or delete it. If they can't prove it, it vanishes. You don't need their permission to clear your name. If the negative marks are accurate, if you really did miss those payments, then you need a plan to rehabilitate that score. We'll get into debt payoff strategies later, but for now, you need to stop the bleeding. No new late payments ever. Set up autopay for the minimum balance on every single account right now. You can't start climbing the mountain if you keep sliding back down. The baseline is set. Take a breath. You have looked at the net worth. You have audited the spending. You have pulled the credit report. You might feel overwhelmed. You might feel a knot in your stomach realizing how much money you've wasted over the years. That is good. That pain is useful. That pain is the death of your old self. You have stopped drifting. You are no longer driving blind. You have established your baseline. Whether you're starting from zero or negative $50,000, you now have a starting point. But knowing the numbers is not enough. You need to control them. You need a system that tells your money where to go so you don't have to wonder where it went. In the next chapter, we are going to build that system. I'm going to teach you how to dictate the flow of every single dollar that enters your life. We are going to move from tracking to commanding. Stop being broke. It's time to budget like a millionaire.
Chapter 3. Dictate where every dollar goes. The word budget has a marketing problem. When most Americans hear the word budget, they think of restriction. They think of diet. They think of saying no to fun, eating ramen noodles in the dark, and living a life of deprivation. This is completely wrong. A budget is not a constraint. A budget is a permission slip. A budget is a tool that allows you to say yes to the things that actually matter because you have ruthlessly said no to the things that don't. It is the difference between wondering where your money went and telling it where to go. If you do not control your money will control you. It will dictate your stress levels, your marriage quality, and your future. You cannot build a skyscraper without blueprints, and you cannot build wealth without a budget. You might be thinking, I don't need a budget, I have a general idea of what I spend. Wrong. A general idea is a hallucination. A general idea is why you are broke. You need precision. You need a system that captures every single penny and forces it to serve your mission. In this chapter, we are going to move from being a passive observer of your bank account to the active commander of your financial destiny. You have a choice. You can be the victim of your expenses, or you can be the master of your assets. Zero-based budgeting mastery. The method we are going to use is called zero-based budgeting. Most people budget by paying their bills and then spending whatever is left over until the account hits zero. That is not budgeting. That is survival. Zero-based budgeting means that your income minus your expenses equals zero. This does not mean you have $0 in your bank account. It means every single dollar of your income is assigned a job before the month begins. You are the general. Your dollars are your soldiers. If you leave your soldiers standing around with no orders, they will wander off. They will get lost in the vending machine, the Target clearance aisle, or the bar tab. Here is how you do it. List your total monthly income. Take your paycheck, your side hustle money, your child support, everything coming in. Let's say it is $4,000. List your expenses. Start with the four walls: food, utilities, shelter, and transportation. Then list everything else: insurance, debt payments, subscriptions, and fun money. Assign every dollar. You allocate that $4,000 into these categories until you have $0 left on paper. If you have $4,000 coming in and your expenses only total $3,500, you are not done. You have $500 floating around without a mission. You must assign that $500 a job. Its job might be emergency fund, Roth IRA, or credit card principal payment. You do not end the planning session until the remaining balance is exactly zero. That's the key. When you give every dollar a name, you eliminate the guilt. If you budget $100 for dining out, you can go spend that $100 on a nice dinner and enjoy it completely, because you know the rent and the savings are already taken care of. But here's the hard part. Once the budget is set, it's the law. If you budget $400 for groceries and you hit $400 on the 25th of the month, you are eating what's in the pantry until the 1st. You don't dip into the savings category. You don't swipe the credit card. You figure it out. It's not about income, it's about discipline. The 50-30-20 rule versus the freedom ratio. You've probably heard of the 50-30-20 rule. This is standard financial advice that says 50% of your income goes to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings. If you're just starting out and your finances are a disaster, 50-30-20 is a fine place to start. It stabilizes the patient. But if you want to become wealthy, if you want to retire in 10 or 15 years instead of 40, the 50-30-20 rule is trash. Saving 20% of your income guarantees you will work for the average amount of time and retire at an average age with an average lifestyle. I don't want you to be average. I want you to be free. We need to talk about your freedom ratio. This is the percentage of your take-home pay that you are using to buy your freedom, investing, and debt payoff. If you want to escape the rat race, you need to push that ratio to 30%, 40%, or even 50%. But I can't save 50% of my income. I have bills. You have a choice. You can keep your expensive car, your big apartment, and your premium cable package and work until you're 65, or you can slash your lifestyle, drive a beater, live in a smaller place, and hit a 50% freedom ratio. If you save 50% of your income, it means for every year you work, you buy a year of freedom. Work 1 year, take 1 year off. Work 10 years, take 10 years off. This requires sacrifice. It requires you to look different from your friends. While they're upgrading their lifestyle every time they get a raise, you are keeping your lifestyle flat and banking the difference. You are artificially keeping yourself quote-unquote poor on paper so you can become rich in reality. Don't let society tell you what is normal savings. Normal is broke. You don't need their permission to be extreme. Automating discipline. Now, let's be honest. Human beings are weak. We are emotional creatures. If you rely on willpower to save money, you will fail. If you wait until the end of the month to save what is left over, there will be nothing left. You must remove the human element from the equation. You must automate your discipline. In the USA, we have the greatest wealth-building tool in history, the automated direct deposit split. Go to your payroll provider at work. Tell them you want to split your paycheck. X% goes to your checking account for bills and spending. Y% goes directly to a high-yield savings account or investment account. You want that money to disappear from your site before you even wake up on payday. If you don't see it, you can't spend it. You learn to live on what lands in your checking account. This is the concept of paying yourself first. Most people pay the landlord first, the electric company second, and the credit card third. Then, if there are scraps left over, they pay themselves. Flip the script. You are the most important creditor in your life. You get paid first. The automation ensures it happens whether you are motivated or not, whether the stock market is up or down, whether you're happy or sad. Set up automatic transfers for everything. Auto-pay your fixed bills, utilities, and internet. Auto-invest into your 401k and Roth IRA. Auto-transfer to your emergency fund. Make your financial life a machine that runs in the background. Your goal is to spend less than 1 hour a month managing your money because the system is doing the heavy lifting for you. That's the key. Wealth is not built by big, heroic decisions made once a year. It is built by small, automated decisions that execute quietly every single week. Taking command. By the end of this chapter, you should have a zero-based budget on paper and your automated transfers set up. You have stopped the bleeding. You have defined your freedom number. You have faced the reality of your net worth, and now you have a system to control the flow of capital. You are no longer a victim of the economy. You are a participant. But as you look at your budget, you're going to see a line item that makes you sick. It is a line item that is stealing a huge chunk of your monthly income, preventing you from hitting that freedom ratio. It is your debt. The student loans, the car notes, the visa balance. You can budget all you want, but if you're paying 24% interest to a bank, you are running on a treadmill. You are sweating, but you aren't going anywhere. To build real wealth, we have to do more than just manage this debt. We have to destroy it. In the next chapter, we are declaring war. I am going to give you the weapons, the Snowball and the Avalanche, to attack your debt and wipe it off the face of the earth. Get your boxing gloves. It's time to fight.
Chapter 4. Destroy your debt before it destroys you. Debt is modern-day slavery. That sounds harsh, doesn't it? We like to use softer words. We call it leverage. We call it financing. We call it building credit. But when you strip away the marketing, the reality is brutal. When you are in debt, you do not own your time. The bank owns your time. Every morning you wake up and go to work, the first few hours of your labor belong to MasterCard, Visa, and Ford Motor Credit. You are trading your life force, your sweat, your stress, your time away from your family just to pay for things you bought 3 years ago. This is the greatest obstacle standing between you and wealth. You cannot build a castle if you are digging a hole. In the United States, consumer debt has hit record highs. The average American is drowning. But you are not average. You are here because you want to be free. And to be free, you must become aggressive. You cannot manage this kind of debt. You cannot coexist with it. You have to kill it. This chapter is your battle plan. We are done playing defense. Today, we go on the offensive. The psychological snowball method. There are 2 main ways to pay off debt. The first is for people who need a psychological win. It is called the debt snowball. Behavioral finance experts and common sense tell us that getting out of debt isn't a math problem, it's a behavior problem. If it were a math problem, you wouldn't have credit card debt in the first place because the math of paying 24% interest is insane. So we have to hack your brain. Here is how the snowball works. List all your debts, except your mortgage, from the smallest balance to the largest balance. Ignore the interest rates completely. Pay the minimum payment on everything except the smallest debt. Attack that smallest debt with a vengeance. Throw every extra dollar, every side hustle check, every sold item from the garage at it. Let's say you have a $500 medical bill and a $15,000 car loan. You attack the $500 first. When you pay it off in 2 weeks, something chemical happens in your brain. You get a hit of dopamine. You see a zero balance. You feel the chains loosen just a little bit. You take the money you were paying on that medical bill and roll it into the next smallest debt. The snowball grows. As you knock out the small debts, you gain confidence. You start to believe you can actually win. That's the key. Momentum is more powerful than math. When you see 3 or 4 debts vanish from your list, you become unstoppable. You stop feeling like a victim and start feeling like a conqueror. It's not about income, it's about discipline. It is about proving to yourself that you can finish what you start. The mathematical avalanche. Now, for the logical thinkers, the engineers, the people who hate inefficiency. If you have a high level of discipline and you are not motivated by quick wins, you might prefer the debt avalanche. This method saves you the most money mathematically. List your debts from the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate. Pay minimums on everything else. Attack the debt with the highest interest rate first. Usually this is your credit card debt. If you have a card charging you 29% APR, that is a financial emergency. That is a fire in your living room. Every day you hold that debt, your money is evaporating. By knocking out the highest interest rates first, you reduce the amount of interest you pay over the life of the loans. You get out of debt slightly faster than the snowball method if you stick to it. But here is the danger. If your highest interest debt is also your largest balance, say a $20,000 credit card limit maxed out, it might take you 2 years to pay off that first item. You won't get a win for 2 years. Many people quit because they don't see progress fast enough. You have a choice. Do you need the psychological boost of crossing items off the list? Choose the snowball. Do you hate giving the bank a single penny more than necessary? Choose the avalanche. Both methods work. The only method that fails is doing nothing. Pick one and attack. Negotiation tactics. Now, I'm going to give you a secret weapon that most Americans are too polite to use. Negotiation. You think the numbers on your bill are set in stone? They aren't. Banks and creditors are businesses. They want money. They would rather have some money from you than no money from you. You don't need their permission to negotiate. You just need the courage to ask. Scenario 1. The interest rate reduction. If you have a good payment history but a high rate, call the number on the back of your credit card. Say this: "Hi, I've been a loyal customer for 5 years. I'm looking at my statement and this 24% APR is too high. I'm getting offers from other banks for balance transfers at 0%.
I want to stay with you, but I need you to lower my rate to 15% or I'm going to transfer this balance to a competitor. They might say no, but often they will drop it by 5 or 10% just to keep you. That 5-minute phone call could save you $1,000 in interest this year. Scenario 2. The settlement for collections. If you have old debt in collections, never pay the full amount. The debt collector likely bought your debt for pennies on the dollar. If you owe $1,000, they might have paid $50 for the right to collect it. Call them and say, I know I owe this $1,000. I don't have $1,000. I have $400 cash right now. I can send you $400 today if you consider the debt paid in full and send me a letter confirming it. If not, I have to use this money for rent. They will scream. They will threaten. Then, usually, they will take the money. Get the agreement in writing before you pay a cent. Scenario 3. Pay for delete. This is huge for your credit score. If a collection agency agrees to take your payment, ask for a pay for delete. This means that in exchange for payment, they agree to completely remove the negative mark from your credit report, not just mark it as paid. This acts like a time machine, erasing the mistake as if it never happened. The war has begun. You are now armed. You have the Snowball for momentum. You have the Avalanche for efficiency. You have the scripts to negotiate. But strategies are useless without execution. You need to get angry at your debt. Stop looking at your car payment as a normal part of life. It is a parasite. Stop looking at your student loans as a good investment. They are a burden. Cut up the credit cards, literally. Get a pair of scissors and destroy them. If you are trying to get out of a hole, the first step is to stop digging. You cannot pay off debt while you are still creating it. That's the key. Radical change requires radical action. Imagine what your life would look like with no payments. Imagine your paycheck hitting your account and staying there. Imagine the freedom of owing nothing to anyone. That life is possible, but you have to walk through the fire to get there. Once you destroy your debt, you stop bleeding. But simply not bleeding is not enough to survive a catastrophe. You need a shield. You need armor. In the next chapter, we are going to build your fortress of solitude. I'm going to teach you how to stockpile cash so that when life hits you, and it will hit you, you can stand tall while others crumble. Debt is the offense. Savings is the defense. Let's build your shield.
Chapter 5. Build your fortress of solitude. Life is going to punch you in the face. I am not being a pessimist. I am being a realist. In the United States, 60% of people cannot cover a $1,000 emergency expense with cash. They have to swipe a credit card, borrow from family, or sell something just to fix a transmission or pay for a root canal. This is living on the razor's edge. When you live paycheck to paycheck, one bad event, a layoff, a car accident, a medical diagnosis, can send you spiraling into bankruptcy. You are fragile. We have spent the last few chapters attacking your debt and fixing your budget. That was the cleanup phase. Now we are entering the construction phase. We are going to build a wall of cash between you and the chaos of the world. I call this your fortress of solitude. When you are inside the fortress, the economy can crash, the stock market can dip, and your boss can fire you, and you will be fine. You will sleep like a baby while everyone else is panicking. This chapter is about defense. You cannot win the game of wealth if you get knocked out in the first round. Defense wins championships. The emergency fund is essential. The foundation of your fortress is the emergency fund. This is not a vacation fund. This is not a new couch fund. This is money specifically set aside for the disasters of life. How much do you need?
If you are still paying off consumer debt, keep a small buffer, maybe $1,000 to $2,000, so you don't have to use credit cards when things break. But once that debt is gone, you need to ramp this up aggressively. The goal: 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Look back at the budget we made in Chapter 3. If your survival number is $4,000 a month, you need between $12,000 and $24,000 in cash. I know what you were thinking. That's a lot of money to just have sitting there doing nothing. That's the key. It is supposed to do nothing. Your emergency fund is not an investment. Its job is not to make you rich. Its job is to keep you from becoming poor. It is insurance. You don't complain that your car insurance premium isn't earning a return on investment, do you? No, you pay it so that when you crash, you are covered. This money needs to be liquid. That means you can access it instantly. Do not lock this money up in a certificate of deposit or the stock market where it can lose value. However, do not leave it in your regular checking account where you will accidentally spend it on pizza and Amazon Prime. Action step: open a high-yield savings account. In the USA, traditional big banks pay you 0.01% interest. That is an insult. Online banks offer high-yield savings accounts that pay 4 to 5%, depending on the Fed rate. It is separate from your checking, out of sight, out of mind. It earns decent interest, fighting inflation. It is accessible within 1 to 2 business days. Build this fund with the same intensity you used to pay off debt. It's not about income. It's about discipline. Sell things, work overtime, do whatever it takes to fill that account. Insurance as wealth defense. Now, let's talk about the shield. You can save $50,000, but one lawsuit or one hospital stay can wipe that out in a single afternoon. In the United States, the #1 cause of bankruptcy is medical debt, not credit cards, medical bills. You must have the proper insurance. It is boring, it is unsexy, and it is absolutely non-negotiable. 1. Health insurance. If you are walking around without health insurance, you are gambling with your financial life. One appendix burst, one car wreck, and you are in debt for $100,000. If your employer doesn't offer it, get on the marketplace. Get a high deductible plan if you are healthy, but get covered. 2. Auto and home renters. Do not cut corners on liability. If you cause an accident and injure a surgeon who can no longer work, the state minimum coverage will not protect you. They will sue you for everything you own. Bump up your liability limits. It costs a few extra dollars a month to protect millions in future earnings. 3. Term life insurance. If you have a spouse or children who depend on your income, listen to me closely. You need life insurance today. But be careful. Insurance agents love to sell whole life or universal life policies. They pitch these as investments that build cash value. Stop. These are generally terrible products for building wealth. They are expensive, the returns are poor, and the fees are astronomical. The agent is pushing it because the commission is huge. You have a choice. You can make your insurance agent rich, or you can make your family rich. Buy term life insurance. It is cheap. For the price of a Netflix subscription, a healthy 30-year-old can get a $500,000 or $1 million policy. It covers you for a term, such as 20 years. Buy term. Invest the difference, the money you saved by not buying whole life, into your retirement accounts. This is how you win. You self-insure through investing. By the time the 20-year term expires, you should have enough money in your investments that you don't need insurance anymore. You don't need their permission to say no to a bad policy. Fire the salesman. Get term. The sleep well at night factor. The final piece of the fortress is psychological. When you have 6 months of expenses in the bank and you are properly insured, your entire demeanor changes. You walk differently. You speak differently. You perform better at work. Why? Because you are not afraid. When you live paycheck to paycheck, you are a slave to your employer. You have to laugh at the boss's bad jokes. You have to tolerate toxic work environments because you are terrified of missing a single paycheck. But when you have a fortress of solitude, you have leverage. If your boss is abusive, you can say, "I don't need this job. I can quit today and be fine for 6 months while I find something better." That confidence ironically makes you more valuable. People respect those who don't need them. This is the sleep well at night factor. Financial stress destroys marriages. It causes heart attacks. It ruins sleep. The best mattress in the world isn't a Tempur-Pedic. It is $20,000 in a high-yield savings account. That's the key. Money is not just currency. It is condensed peace of mind. Stop viewing your savings as money I can't spend. Start viewing it as your freedom fund. Every dollar in that account is a soldier standing guard at the gate of your life, ensuring that no unexpected event can destroy what you are building. Transition. Your defense is now set. You have killed the consumer mindset. You have mastered your budget. You have destroyed your debt. You have built your fortress of cash and insurance. You are safe, you are stable, but you are not rich. Defense prevents you from losing, but offense is how you win. You cannot save your way to millions if you are making minimum wage. You cannot budget your way to a private island if your income has a ceiling. To achieve true financial freedom, to shorten the timeline from 40 years to 10 years, we need fuel. We need to supercharge the money coming in. In the next chapter, I am going to pivot to offense. I'm going to show you how to maximize your income potential, negotiate your worth, and create streams of cash that exist outside of your 9-to-5 job. It's time to make more money.
Chapter 6. Maximize your income potential. There is a mathematical limit to how much money you can save. You can clip every coupon, cancel every subscription, and eat rice and beans for every meal, but you can only cut your expenses down to zero. You cannot save more than 100% of what you make. There is a floor, but there is no ceiling on how much you can earn. We have spent the first half of this audiobook playing defense. We fixed the leaks, stopped the bleeding, and built the walls. That is vital work. But defense alone does not score points. You cannot win the Super Bowl if you never cross the 50-yard line. If you want to reach financial freedom in years rather than decades, you have to attack the income side of the equation. Many of you are playing small. You are accepting the salary your boss gave you 3 years ago. You are trading your time for a paycheck that barely covers inflation. You are waiting for permission to be wealthy. You don't need their permission. This chapter is about offense. It is about realizing that your income is not a fixed number given to you by the gods. It is a variable that you control. It is time to turn on the fire hose. The ceiling of saving. Let's look at the hard truth. If you make $35,000 a year living in a major U.S. city, no amount of budgeting tricks will make you a millionaire quickly. The math simply doesn't work. You don't have a spending problem, you have an income problem. In the corporate world, loyalty is a poverty trap. Data from the Federal Reserve and various labor analytics firms consistently show that employees who switch jobs every 2 to 3 years earn significantly more, sometimes 10% to 20% more per jump than those who stay loyal to one company. While you are sitting there waiting for a 3% cost of living adjustment, the person who just got hired to sit in the cubicle next to you is making $15,000 more than you for doing the same job. You have a choice. You can be the loyal soldier who gets underpaid, or you can be the mercenary who gets market value. Update your resume. Look at the market. Interview.
Even if you love your job, you need to know what you are worth. If the market says you are worth $80,000 and you're being paid $60,000, you are donating $20,000 a year to your employer. Stop being a philanthropist to a corporation. If you want to stay, you must negotiate. But do not go into your boss's office and say, "I need a raise because rent went up." Your boss does not care about your rent. Your boss cares about value. Go in and say, "Here is the $50,000 of value I added to the company this year. Here is the market rate for my role. I would love to stay here, but we need to correct my compensation to match my output." If they say no, you walk. That's the key. If you are not willing to walk away, you are not negotiating. You are begging. The side hustle strategy. But a salary is just one stream. In the modern economy, relying on a single source of income is dangerous. It's like trying to stand on a one-legged stool. If that leg breaks, if you get laid off, you fall. You need a side hustle. I am not talking about a get-rich-quick scheme. I am not talking about filling out surveys for pennies. I am talking about a service-based business that generates cold, hard cash. The goal here is simple. Generate an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month. Why? Because if you invest an extra $1,000 a month into the S&P 500 at an average return, that alone becomes over $2 million over a working career. That $1,000 is your freedom fuel. The best side hustles for beginners are sweat equity businesses. They cost $0 to start. Power washing driveways, walking dogs, detailing cars, cleaning gutters, freelance writing or virtual assistant work. You might think, "I'm too good to clean gutters." Are you too good to be rich? Because right now, your pride is keeping you broke. The wealthy don't care about looking cool, they care about results. If washing windows on Saturday mornings gets you out of debt 2 years early, you wash the windows. Use the gap money strategy. Every single dollar you make from this side hustle does not go to your checking account to be spent on shoes or drinks. It goes directly to your freedom fund, your debt payoff, or your investments. You live on your salary, you get rich on your hustle. It's not about income, it's about discipline. Even if you make an extra $5,000 a month, if you succumb to lifestyle creep and spend it all, you are just running faster on the hamster wheel. The hustle money must be sacred. Monetizing your knowledge. Once you have exhausted your physical labor, you must scale. You must decouple your time from your money. If you are a graphic designer, you can only design so many logos in a day. But if you create a course on how to master Photoshop for beginners and sell it for $50, you can sell that course while you are sleeping. You create the product once and you get paid infinitely. This is the digital gold rush. Write an ebook, create templates, start a YouTube channel, consult. You have a skill right now that someone else is willing to pay for. Maybe you're great at Excel. Maybe you know how to meal prep. Maybe you're a wizard at fixing credit scores. Package that knowledge. The gig economy sites like Upwork, Fiverr, and Thumbtack allow you to start today. There is no barrier to entry. You don't need their permission. You don't need a degree. You just need a portfolio and the willingness to ask for the sale. This is about diversification. The average millionaire has 7 streams of income. Earned income, job. Profit income, business. Interest income, savings. Dividend income, stocks. Rental income, real estate. Capital gains, selling assets. Royalty income, IP or creative work. How many do you have? If the answer is 1, you are in the danger zone. Work harder now to relax later. I know what you're thinking. This sounds exhausting. I already work 40 hours a week. I don't want to work nights and weekends. I get it. It is exhausting. But you know what else is exhausting? Being broke. Being stressed about bills is exhausting. Driving a car you pray starts every morning is exhausting. Telling your kids no because you can't afford a vacation is exhausting. You have a choice. You can choose the exhaustion of discipline now or the exhaustion of regret later. You can work 60 hours a week for the next 5 years to build a life of freedom, or you can work 40 hours a week for the next 40 years just to survive. This intensity is temporary. You don't have to drive Uber forever. You don't have to freelance forever. You just need to do it long enough to build the critical mass of capital required to escape gravity. Once you have that pile of cash, that $50,000, $100,000, or $500,000, the game changes. You stop working for money, and money starts working for you. Transition. You have done the work. You have negotiated the raise. You have started the side hustle. The cash is hitting your bank account. Now you have a new problem, a good problem, but a dangerous one. If you leave that extra money sitting in a savings account, it is dying. Inflation is eating it alive. The dollar loses value every year. Saving your way to wealth is mathematically impossible in the long run, because the government keeps printing more money, making yours worth less. To become truly wealthy, you must become an investor. You must turn your cash into soldiers that go out and capture more territory. In the next chapter, we are going to look at the compounding machine. I'm going to teach you how to take that $100 you earned from your side hustle and turn it into millions using the most powerful force in the universe, compound interest. It's time to force your money to multiply.
Chapter 7. Force your money to multiply. You have worked hard for your money. Now it is time for your money to work hard for you. Up until this point, we have discussed linear growth. You work an hour, you get paid for an hour. You sell a product, you get paid for a product. This is how 99% of the world operates. They trade their life energy for currency. But there is a flaw in this system. You have to sleep. You have to eat. Eventually you will get old, you will get sick, or you will simply want to stop working. If your money only grows when you are sweating, you will work until the day you die. To escape this trap, you must cross the chasm from saver to investor. A saver puts money in a bank account where it earns 0.01% interest. Meanwhile, inflation is eating away its purchasing power at 3% or 4% a year. A saver is guaranteed to lose wealth slowly. An investor uses money to buy assets that produce more money. An investor understands that a dollar is not just a piece of paper, it is a seed. If you eat the seed, it's gone. If you plant the seed, it grows into a tree that produces fruit for generations. You have a choice. You can eat the seed, or you can plant the forest. In this chapter, we are going to look at the compounding machine. We are going to demystify the stock market, strip away the Wall Street jargon, and show you the simple, boring path to becoming a millionaire. The power of compound interest. Albert Einstein reportedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. He said, "He who understands it, earns it. He who doesn't, pays it." You have been paying it to the credit card companies. Now you are going to earn it. Here is how it works. You invest $100. It earns a 10% return. Now you have $110. Next year, you earn 10% not just on your original $100, but also on the $10 of profit. You earn $11. Now you have $121. This sounds slow at first. It is. It is like a snowball rolling down a hill. At the top, it is small and moves slowly, but as it rolls, it gathers mass. By the time it hits the bottom of the mountain, it is an avalanche that can crush anything in its path. Time waits for no one. The most critical variable in this equation is not how much money you have, it is how much time you have. Let's look at two people. Person A starts investing $500 a month at age 25. They stop at age 35 and never invest another dime.
Person B waits until age 35 to start. They invest $500 every single month until they're 65. Who has more money at retirement? Person A, the one who started early and stopped, usually comes out ahead or equal, despite investing thousands of dollars less. Why? Because their money had 10 extra years to compound. Every day you wait to start investing, you are setting fire to your future millions. You cannot get that time back. That's the key. You do not need to be rich to start. You need to start to become rich. Even if it is $50 a month, get the snowball rolling. Tax-advantaged accounts, USA Toolkit. In the United States, the government wants you to save for retirement so they don't have to take care of you. To encourage this, they give you tax breaks. These are tax-advantaged accounts. If you're investing in a normal brokerage account before filling these buckets, you are doing it wrong. You are volunteering to pay taxes you don't have to pay. 1. The 401k match. Free money. If your employer offers a 401k match, take it. If they match 3% of your salary and you contribute 3%, you just made 100% return on your money instantly. There is no investment in the world that guarantees 100% return in 1 second. If you don't take the match, you're effectively taking a pay cut. It's not about income, it's about discipline. Sign up for the match today. 2. The Roth IRA, the Holy Grail. With a traditional 401k or IRA, you get a tax break now, but you pay taxes when you pull the money out in retirement. The Roth IRA is the opposite. You pay taxes on the money now while you're likely in a lower tax bracket, but the money grows tax-free forever. When you retire and pull that money out, whether it is $1 million or $10 million, the IRS gets zero, nothing. Imagine growing a massive apple orchard and the government telling you you paid for the seeds so you can keep every single apple tax-free. That is the Roth IRA. Max it out. 3. The HSA, the stealth weapon. If you have a high-deductible health plan, you have access to a health savings account. Most people think this is just for doctor's visits. Wrong. It is a triple tax-advantaged investment vehicle. Tax deduction in, tax-free growth, and tax-free withdrawal for medical expenses. If you don't use it for medical expenses, at age 65, it acts like a normal retirement account. You don't need their commission to open these accounts. You can open a Roth IRA at Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab in 10 minutes on your phone. The Set It and Forget It portfolio. Now that the accounts are open, what do you buy? Wall Street wants you to think investing is complicated. They want you to think you need to watch CNBC, read charts, and analyze balance sheets. They want you to think this so you will pay them high fees to manage your money. Ignore them. The data is clear-cut. Over a 15-year period, over 90% of professional fund managers fail to beat the market. The S&P 500. These are guys with Ivy League degrees and supercomputers, and they lose to the simple market average. If they can't beat the market, you trading on your phone during your lunch break definitely won't beat the market. Do not try to pick the next Amazon. For every Amazon, there are 1,000 companies that went to zero. Simplicity creates wealth. The strategy that builds the most wealth for the most people is index fund investing. Instead of trying to find the needle in the haystack, you just buy the whole haystack. The S&P 500. You buy a fund like VOO or FXAIX that owns the top 500 companies in America. Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon. You own a piece of all of them. Total Stock Market Index. You buy a fund like VTSAX or VTI that owns every publicly traded company in the US. When you buy an index fund, you are betting on the American economy. You are betting that over time, businesses will grow, profits will rise, and the stock market will go up. Historically, the S&P 500 has returned about 10% per year on average over the last century. This is not gambling. This is mathematics. Here is your strategy. Set up an automatic transfer on payday. Buy a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. Do nothing. When the market crashes, and it will crash, you do not sell, you buy more. A market crash is a everything-must-go sale for stocks. When steaks are on sale at the grocery store, you don't run out of the store screaming, you load up the cart. Treat stocks the same way. That's the key. The investor who checks their portfolio every day loses. The investor who checks it once a year wins. Boredom is your friend. If your investing is exciting, you're probably losing money. Keeping what is yours. There is one enemy that eats your returns: fees. If a financial advisor charges you 1% to manage your money, that sounds small, but over 30 years, that 1% fee can eat up to 25 or 30% of your total future wealth. If you have $1 million at retirement, you might have paid the advisor $300,000 of it in fees and lost growth. You don't need to pay a guy in a suit to buy index funds for you. You can do it yourself for free. Index funds have expense ratios as low as 0.03%. That is basically free. You have a choice. You can fund your advisor's vacation home, or you can fund your own. Transition. You now have the compounding machine running. You are maximizing your tax-advantaged accounts, you are buying low-cost index funds, you are letting time do the heavy lifting. This handles your paper assets. Stocks and bonds are liquid, easy to manage, and powerful. But true dynastic wealth, the kind that old money families have, is often built on something you can touch, something you can stand on, something that provides tax benefits that stocks can never touch. I am talking about
Chapter 8. Acquire assets, not liabilities. If you walk into a bank in the United States and ask a loan officer to list your assets, they will tell you to list your car, your furniture, your electronics, and your house. They are lying to you. This is the biggest lie in the financial world, and it is the reason the middle class struggles while the rich get richer. The bank's definition of an asset is simply something that can be sold to pay off a debt. But we are not here to satisfy a bank. We are here to build freedom. And for the purpose of financial freedom, the definition of an asset is much stricter. We need to use the definition popularized by Robert Kiyosaki because it is the only one that matters for your bank account. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. That is it. There is no gray area. Does your car put money in your pocket? No. It takes gas, insurance, repairs, and depreciation out of your pocket every month. It is a liability. Does your boat put money in your pocket? No. It is a hole in the water you throw money into. It is a liability. Does your house put money in your pocket? This is where people get angry. They say, "But my house is my biggest investment. It goes up in value." Let's look at the cash flow. You pay the mortgage. You pay the property tax. You pay the insurance. You pay to fix the roof when it leaks. Money is leaving your pocket every single month. Unless you are renting it out, your personal residence is a liability. It is a place to live, yes. It is a luxury, yes. But it is not an asset until you sell it. To become wealthy, you must stop collecting liabilities that you think are assets and start acquiring true assets that pay you to own them. You have a choice. You can look rich by owning expensive liabilities, or you can be rich by owning boring assets. You cannot do both until you are already wealthy. Real estate basics. Live for free. The most powerful asset class for the average American to build wealth is real estate, but not the way you think. Most people follow the American dream: rent an apartment, save up for a starter home, buy it, and spend 30 years paying it off while drowning in repairs. That is the slow lane. If you want to fast-track your freedom, you need to hack the system. You need to use a strategy called house hacking. In the USA, the government incentivizes home ownership through FHA loans. These loans allow you to buy a property with as little as 3.5% down. But here's the secret. You can use an FHA loan to buy a multifamily property, up to 4 units, as long as you live in one of the units. Here's the play. Find a duplex, 2 units, triplex, 3 units, or fourplex, 4 units. Buy it with an FHA loan, 3.5% down, live in 1 unit, rent out the other units. Let's do the math. You buy a fourplex. The mortgage, taxes, and insurance cost $3,000 a month. You live in Unit 1. You rent Unit 2 for $1,000. You rent Unit 3 for $1,000. You rent Unit 4 for $1,000. Your total rental income is $3,000. Your mortgage is $3,000. Your housing cost is now 0. You have just eliminated the largest expense in your budget. While your friends are paying $2,000 a month for rent or a mortgage, you are living for free. And better yet, your tenants are paying down your debt for you. Every month, they buy you a little more equity in the building. That's the key. You're using other people's money to build your net worth. Is it glamorous living next to your tenants? No. Is it annoying when a toilet breaks at midnight? Yes. But it's not about income, it's about discipline. It is about sacrificing comfort for a few years to build a foundation of steel. If you do this for 2 years, move out and do it again, you will have a portfolio of rental properties before you are 35. You will have cash flow hitting your account whether you go to work or not. You don't need their permission to become a real estate mogul. You just need a decent credit score and 3.5% down. Business ownership without the headache. Maybe you hate the idea of fixing toilets. Maybe you don't want to deal with tenants. That is fine. You can still own real estate and businesses without doing the work. This brings us back to the stock market, but with a specific focus: dividends and REITs. When you buy a share of a company that pays a dividend, you are buying a stream of cash flow. You are a silent partner. If you own shares of Coca-Cola, every time someone buys a soda, a tiny fraction of a penny finds its way to you. You don't have to mix the syrup. You don't have to drive the delivery truck. You just cash the check. If you want real estate without the tenants, you buy REITs, real estate investment trusts. These are companies that own malls, hospitals, apartment complexes, and data centers. By law, they must pay out 90% of their taxable income to shareholders. You can buy a REIT on your phone in 5 seconds. Boom. You are now a commercial real estate owner. You get the quarterly checks, but you never get the phone call that the roof is leaking. Make money while you sleep. This is not a cliché. It is a requirement. If you do not find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. The asset accumulator mindset. This chapter requires a fundamental shift in how you view the world. When you walk down the street, stop looking at things as a consumer. Start looking at them as an investor. When you see a McDonald's, don't think about the Big Mac. Think about the real estate underneath it. When you see an iPhone, don't think about the features. Think about the Apple dividend. When you see an apartment complex, don't think about the rent. Think about who owns the building.
You need to become a collector of assets. Treat it like a game. Your goal is to collect as many green soldiers, dollars, as possible and deploy them to capture assets. This month, I bought 5 shares of a REIT, added an asset. Next month, I bought a dividend ETF, added an asset. Next year, I bought a rental property, added a massive asset. Stop buying liabilities. Stop buying clothes that go out of style. Stop buying cars that depreciate. Stop buying gadgets that will be obsolete in 2 years. Every time you're about to buy a liability, ask yourself, could I buy an asset with this money? Instead of the $60,000 truck, could you put a down payment on a rental property? Instead of the $1,000 phone, could you buy $1,000 of stock? The $1,000 phone will be worth 0 in 5 years. The $1,000 in stock could be worth $2,000. You have a choice. Wealth is not a mystery, it is a formula. Income minus expenses equals gap. Gap plus time times return equals wealth. The more assets you buy, the larger that return variable becomes. Eventually, the income from your assets exceeds your expenses. That is the finish line. That is the moment you are free. Transition. You are now building a machine. You have the income, you have the budget, you have the investments, you have the real estate. You are winning. But there are forces in this world that are trying to take it all away from you. The government wants a cut via inflation. The market wants a cut via volatility. And, most dangerously, your own psychology wants to sabotage you through lifestyle creep. As your wealth grows, the temptation to spend it grows with it. The urge to look rich often kills the ability to be rich. In the next chapter, we're going to build the final perimeter of defense. We're going to talk about shielding your wealth from the silent killers, inflation, bad relationships, and your own ego. It's time to recession-proof your life.
Chapter 9. Shield your wealth from erosion. Congratulations! You are now richer than you have ever been. You have income streams. You have assets. You have a budget that runs like a Swiss watch. If you stop listening now, you are already ahead of 90% of the population. But here is the dark truth about wealth. Making money is hard, but keeping money is harder. There are forces at work, some economic, some psychological, and some relational, that are actively trying to erode what you have built. These are not burglars breaking into your house at night. They are silent killers. They are invisible taxes. They are subtle shifts in behavior that feel harmless until you wake up 10 years later and realize half your net worth is gone. You have built a fortress. Now you must defend the walls. In this chapter, we are going to identify the 3 greatest threats to your financial survival: the government's printing press, your own ego, and the person sleeping next to you. The inflation enemy. Let's start with the math. Let's talk about the silent tax that no one votes for, but everyone pays: inflation. In the United States, the Federal Reserve has a stated goal of 2% inflation per year. That means they want your money to lose 2% of its value every single year. And that is when things are going well. We have all seen what happens when inflation spikes to 5%, 7%, or 9%. If you have $100,000 sitting in a standard checking account earning 0% interest, and inflation is 4%, you didn't just break even. You lost $4,000 of purchasing power. You didn't lose the dollars, but you lost what those dollars can buy. Think of your cash like a block of ice. If you leave it sitting out on the counter in a checking account, it melts. Slowly, drip by drip, it disappears. Inflation is the silent killer. It punishes savers and rewards debtors.
Many people are terrified of the stock market because they are afraid of losing money, but they leave their life savings in cash, guaranteeing a 100% chance of losing value over time. That is irrational. You have a choice. You can let your money melt, or you can put it in the freezer. The freezer is assets. Stocks, real estate, and commodities tend to rise as the dollar falls. If the price of bread goes up, the price of wheat stocks goes up. If the price of lumber goes up, the cost of housing goes up. By owning the assets, you are hedging against the devaluation of the currency. Do not hoard cash beyond your emergency fund. Cash is trash in the long run. You must keep your money moving, growing, and working. You don't need their permission to move your money out of the bank and into the market. Lifestyle inflation, the ego trap. The second enemy is inside your head. It is called lifestyle inflation or lifestyle creep. It works like this. You get a raise at work. You make an extra $500 a month. Suddenly, your brain says, I work hard. I deserve a better car. So you trade in your paid-off Honda for a leased BMW. The lease is $500 a month. Your income went up by $500. Your expenses went up by $500. Your net wealth gain is zero. This is Parkinson's law. Work expands to fill the time available. In finance, it translates to expenses rise to meet income. This is why you see professional athletes who make $20 million bankrupt 3 years after they retire. It is why doctors and lawyers are often high earners, not rich yet. They run on a hedonistic treadmill. Every time they step up the speed, income, they instinctively step up the incline, spending. They are sweating. They are running fast, but they're not going anywhere. That's the key. The gap between your income and your expenses is your wealth. If you widen the income, but also widen the expenses, the gap stays small. You stay broke. You have to be weird. You have to be the person who gets a $20,000 raise and still drives the same car. You have to be the person who makes 6 figures but still lives in a modest apartment. When you get a raise, pretend it didn't happen. Take that entire raise and automate it directly into your investment account. If you never see it in your checking account, you won't miss it. You will continue living your same lifestyle, but your net worth will explode in the background. It's not about income, it's about discipline. The hardest part of wealth is not the math. It is the ego. It is the desire to show people that you are doing well. But remember Chapter 1. Wealth is what you don't see. Wealth is the car you didn't buy. Wealth is the diamonds you didn't wear. Stop trying to impress people who don't care about you. Your future self is the only person you need to impress. Prenups and partnerships, the relation risk. Now, we have to have the hard conversation, the one nobody wants to have. You can be the best investor in the world. You can pick the best stocks, buy the best real estate, and budget down to the penny. But if you marry the wrong person, you will lose 50% of it overnight. In the United States, divorce is a financial nuclear weapon. It destroys net worth faster than any recession. If you are single, the most important financial decision you will ever make is not which stock to buy. It is who you put a ring on. You need to find a partner who shares your financial values. If you are a saver and you marry a spender, you are not just going to have arguments, you are going to have a financial disaster. You are rowing the boat north and they are rowing south. You will spin in circles until the boat sinks. Protect your future. Before you get married, you must have the talk. You need to lay out your debts, your assets, your credit scores, and your goals. If they refuse to talk about money, that is a red flag the size of Texas. And yes, we need to talk about prenuptial agreements. Society tells you that prenups are unromantic. Society tells you that asking for a prenup means you plan to get divorced.
Society is broke. Do not listen to society. A prenup is simply a business agreement that outlines what happens if the partnership dissolves. Marriage is, in the eyes of the state, a business contract. You are merging assets. Why would you sign a contract with the state without reading the terms? A prenup protects you and your partner. It forces you to have difficult conversations before the wedding, which actually strengthens the relationship. It ensures that if things go wrong, the lawyers don't get all the money. You have a choice. You can leave your financial fate up to a judge who doesn't know you, or you can decide it yourself while you still love each other. If you are already married, the strategy is communication. You cannot hide purchases. You cannot have financial infidelity. You need to be a united front. Sit down once a month for a State of the Union meeting. Look at the budget together. Look at the net worth together. Dream together. When two people are aligned on a financial mission, they become a superpower. They can live on one income and save the other. They can cover for each other during job losses. They can build an empire. Mind the gap. We have covered the 3 erosions. Inflation, the erosion of purchasing power. Solution, invest in assets. Lifestyle creep, the erosion of discipline. Solution, live below your means. Relation friction, the erosion of assets through divorce or misalignment. Solution, communication and protection. If you can shield your wealth from these 3 things, you become unstoppable. You create a closed loop where money comes in, grows, and stays. But this brings us to the final question, the question that keeps high achievers awake at night. Is it worth it? What is it all for? You have the money, you have the security, you have the assets, but if you just hoard numbers on a screen until you die, you haven't won the game. You have just achieved a high score in a game you're no longer playing. Money is not the goal. Money is a tool. A hammer is a great tool, but a hammer is useless if you don't build anything with it. In the final chapter, we are going to talk about the destination. We are going to define what financial freedom actually looks like, how to withdraw your money safely without running out, and how to design a life that you don't need a vacation from. You have built the machine. Now it is time to turn it on.
You now possess the map. We have covered the mindset, the math, and the mechanics of financial freedom. But listening to this audiobook will not make you rich. Only action will. Right now, you are standing at a crossroads. You can go back to your old habits, swiping your credit card for things you don't need to impress people you don't like. Or you can take the first step today. Check your bank account, set up that budget, open that investment account. The pain of discipline is far less than the pain of regret. Do not wait for the perfect time. The perfect time was yesterday. The second best time is right now. Go build your fortress. Go claim your freedom. Your future self is begging you to start. And if this message hits you, don't just listen, take action. Hit the like button, leave a comment about your next financial goal, and subscribe to Bookmint for more powerful audiobooks like this. Your journey to freedom starts here.